Hello everyone. Let's do a watercolor project. I am in the mushroom mood. We're doing this for Ad Astra, for our more sort of intense project. But I found this artist, Susan McCreel, I think is her name. I saw this on Pinterest. And I just thought it was so cute. You know, these just random mushroom shapes. Very, very simple. We don't even, I mean, I was just inspired by this, so I wanted to show you. Filled in with beautiful washes, with beautiful rich colors, sort of like silhouettes, right, of mushrooms. And then maybe some simple greenery around them and create sort of a little scene. You could use it as a greeting card or as a little painting gift or just for fun. And then I also saw these. These are actually picks to put in plants. It was at a garden store. And I love these whimsical ones. So I thought we'd actually start with these. I just think they're so fun. And I will upload this reference image for you so you have it. So I'm just going to use cold pressed paper, all right? And I am going to start with a pencil, just so I feel good about my drawing. And where did I put my pencil? Here it is. Okay. So you have the reference image if you're watching this video, so you can, I can keep it up here and you can just follow along. I'm gonna draw all four, and I'm gonna start with really simple shapes. So I can just start with a triangle, right? And then I can start here on the triangle and sort of bring it up and curl it in, and then bring it down. And then I can go in and erase. And I can make this a little bit more interesting. So down here, sometimes it's just better if you start with a simple shape. Just kind of make a wavy line here that sort of comes up, and then you can erase whatever you don't need. All right, try to make it as simple as possible. And then you can come out with this little, like this, okay? And then we'll do another one. Let's make this one, maybe this way. Here's our triangle this way. And maybe this one's got a really short one there, and then wavy. And then we can erase. So keep it really loose and free and simple, no stress. They should all be a little bit different. And then maybe make this one bend over this way. Kind of fun. Let's do 3. Sometimes 3 or 5 is better than an even number. So then we'll put one over here. Maybe it goes this way. Here's my triangle. And maybe this one comes in like this. And then we can get rid of lines we don't need. Excuse me. And then like that. Okay? Super, super fun. I love it. Okay, so the next part is to find colors that thrill us, right? And for this, I mean, handmade paints are a great thing for something like this. And you want to go somewhere between, I mean, you want to have some that are bright and clear and transparent, and some that might be a little bit dark and moody. So I'm going to use my deep, deep light paints. We're not going to mix colors, all right? You could also use regular watercolors. It doesn't have to be handmade paints. But just have a good variety between dark and light. Now, we've got these little bumps on here. All right, so there's a couple ways we can approach this. We can use a white wax crayon and draw white circles, okay? I'm going to, we could use gum arabic and paint white circles on there and they would just sort of dissolve. Um, they're a great way to reserve a little bit of white, or we can use masking fluid. I'm going to use masking fluid and it'll be really fun on one of them. And then we could also use acrylic markers, okay? So on one of them, I'm going to use masking fluid, and on the other one, I'm going to use an acrylic marker. Here's the reason why. You could do both. Notice that these have the white polka dots and these are colored. So if I do acrylic marker, the colored one's not going to work. I could do this for acrylic marker. Just draw the circles right on top. This one, I could use masking fluid, take it off, and then paint the circles darker. Okay? So we're going to do both, and you can see how both of them work. Now, just find my masking fluid. So for masking fluid, I like to use PBO drawing gum with some kind of a metal nib, or if you have another way you like to apply it, that's absolutely fine. Never shake this vigorously, but you can kind of rock it back and forth to mix it up, swirl it, that kind of thing. You never want to shake it vigorously because it'll just turn into a big blob. All right, I'm going to go get my nib and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to use my Kakimori nib, but any kind of metal nib is fine, or if you have another way, just do not ever put masking fluid on your good watercolor brush, okay? It will ruin it forever. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to do this one with white, all right? And I'm not going to make perfect circles. I'm going to start with one, make it pretty big, all right? Fill it in with the masking fluid and make it sort of oblong, all right? I'm going to make some that are on the edges, right? I'm going to make some that are teeny tiny. Just not perfect circles. If you start making perfect circles, then they just don't look real. Not that this is real, but you know what I mean. It just doesn't look as good. So another reason to not be perfect. Okay. Here. And then as you get up higher to the very tippy top, they might get smaller. But on the body of the mushroom, you just want to make sure you have some that are big, some that might be a little smaller, some that are on the edge. Okay. Then up here, I might have some that are a little smaller, and it might end right there. All right, so randomness, right? Randomness. Okay. So that one is for, we're going to use for the colored ones. Let's just do one colored one, and let's do two with acrylic marker. How's that? All right, so while this is drying, we can work on these two. But first, I'm going to go wash my nib off, because when you use masking fluid, you need to take it off your nib immediately. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, my nib is all clean, and now we're going to paint these two. I'm leaving my pencil kind of dark, just so you can see. But if it were me, I would take a kneaded eraser and just lightly dab the graphite, because what that does is it removes any extra graphite and keeps it from mixing with your watercolor. You don't need to, I mean, these are going to be kind of dark, so you don't need to erase it completely like if we were doing a botanical work or something, but just get rid of that extra graphite. When you're using pencil and watercolor, you never want like a heavy amount of graphite on your paper, right? Okay, just be careful not to put it into masking fluid. All right, so let's start with this one. I think, and anything goes with this, all right? So I'm gonna start I don't really, do I want to use, I don't really want to use red. I'm going to use a blue. All right, I'm going to start at the top. And okay, just get your little curly cue in. And just paint very freshly. Okay. And then I'm gonna start throwing in another color. So maybe I'll put in, maybe I will put in a little bit of red right here. Okay, drop in more blue. Make them whatever colors light you up, okay? Maybe there's a little red there, and maybe, I don't really have a violet in here, but maybe I'll just go back to blue. And that blue and red will sort of make a violet, although a murky one. But that's okay, because we want some dark. Okay, so don't overwork it. Once you've got all the color down, you can always take a clean damp brush and just sort of clean up your edges if you want to. But again, with something like this, it's not terribly important. You can also lift your painting a bit and just let the color flow around if you want it to mix that way. I'm not going to do this part yet, okay? But I'm going to move on to this one. And this one, maybe I'll start with this kind of magenta color. And then bring it up and around. Okay, just putting some other colors in there. Maybe a different blue that's sort of a greenish blue. So again, you can do any number of color combinations for this. It's not going to matter, right? I might actually pull out some transparent colors too. Any colors that feel right. I want some orange. That's why I pulled this out, my Winsor & Newton orange. And so the orange with the blue makes a little bit of gray. And then maybe, no idea what color this is. It's dark. And then maybe even a little drop of cobalt. Oh, I got out of the lines there. That's all right. Okay. All right, so those two are done. Let me see about this. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna turn this way so I don't get my hand in it because I'm left-handed. And I'm gonna put a layer of paint on this one too. And I'm actually gonna start with this orange. I really, really love it. And I kind of like the lighter colors in the swirly cap parts. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back to this beautiful magenta. Just nice, smooth colors that mix with each other because they're touching each other, not because you're mixing them yourself, right? Okay, and then I'm gonna go into some blue. That's gonna give me violets with that pink, magenta. All right. I'll just drop some more in, but also more of that magenta. And then I'm gonna go into just a clear blue. That's a little bit different. So again, whatever colors speak to you are the ones you should use. You might want to do them all in earth tones. You might want to do sunset colors or Arizona desert colors, you know, whatever speaks to you is what you do. Okay. And I might actually take a little bit of yellow. Okay. So these need to dry, right? Because we want the caps to be separate from the bottom part. Okay, so let's let that dry and then we'll come back, we'll take the masking fluid off, we'll add the caps and we'll add some decorations. Okay, so this is now dry enough that we can do our little guys down here. So let's do that. And I noticed here that, so some of them are kind of stem colored and some of them are colorful. So I kind of like the stem color ones. So what we're gonna do, let's do one that's colorful and two that are like stem colored. So what I'm thinking, let me just use these. I'm thinking to put down something kind of neutral. This is the wrong brush. Oh, okay. And that's what I want. I want it a little bit darker. Not as much water. You see how that was just too much water in my brush for this small space, right? Too much color. I mean, not enough color, too much water for this small little space. I wanted a little bit darker. So my brush was too wet. This brush is a very wet brush. All right, then I'm gonna take a darker color. So like a brown. In fact, let me go with this Winsor Newton brown because I know it. And maybe a little burnt umber in there. So just something a little bit darker. And I'm gonna paint sort of one side of it. And then I'm gonna just use little tick marks. Just to kind of dot some color on there so it's not all the same, right? Okay. And the same over here. A little bit heavy in one area and down at the bottom. And then just little, it's kind of dabbing the color in so it's not all solid. And that's how you do that. Okay. Yeah. And then this one we'll do maybe a little more colorful. So let's start with a raw sienna. And maybe some purple. And some blue. And you can use whatever colors you want. It's so much fun. Oh, I might just drop some water in there on the yellow side. And that just sort of blends it all together and makes it sort of psychedelic looking. Tie-dye, right? I like these bright colors today. It's kind of gloomy outside, so. There. That's kind of fun. All right, now, these, we're gonna put some colored dots in there when they're done. So I'm gonna see. I have a I have one. I had an eraser that takes off masking fluid. I don't know where it is. So we'll just carefully rub it off with our fingers. It's better if you can not get your fingers on it, but if you have to, make sure your fingers are clean. Okay. There's that. All right, so there's our white dots for that. And then we're gonna sort of get our acrylic marker ready. And we'll put those on in a minute. Okay, so the acrylic marker works like this. You shake it. Okay, you could also just use acrylic paint in a paintbrush, but this is kind of fun. And so you prep it by pushing it down on paper, and that's gonna make the paint sort of flood out, all right? And then you can use it to do the same thing we did on this one. So use the tip. And it's the same thing. And it works so well on top of watercolor. It's just, nice and opaque, right? Really looks white. Just pump it. All right, there's that one. Then the same thing over here. You could also use a white gel pen, depending on your gel pen. If you just pump it on here carefully, you can get a good amount of paint. So just put it in the middle of that circle, and then you just draw with it. That's good. Okay. Kind of fun. All right, now we're going to paint these. So let's do a transparent color. I think sort of a transparent violet. And just make a little puddle, okay? And what you want to do is draw a little circle with your paint, tiny, in proportion to what you've got, the size of the circle you've got. Okay, and then leave a little tiny bit of that white, okay? And this will kind of make them three-dimensional and shiny. If they're really small, just leave a teeny little bit. You kind of put them all on the same side, the upper left side. And then of course it's going to raise up a little bit, right? Off the side. It's really small, just fill it in. You're just leaving a tiny bit of white. All right, and then we're gonna let those dry, okay? In the meantime, that's pretty dry. So what I wanna do is I wanna put a little bit of shadow, and I can just use a little purple or some kind of shadow color, if you have shadow violet or one of those colors, and just put a little bit of shadow right underneath there, okay? rinse your brush, dry it off, and then just soften the shadow color down a little bit. So it's not like there's no hard edge. All right, so there's just a tiny bit, and then you can go back and you could just drop in a teeny bit more right underneath. And always just soften if you need to. That's good. You see how it looks like now? It looks like this goes up inside because there's a little bit of a shadow there. Okay. I wonder, I've got this where I went out of the lines here. Wonder if I can erase that graphite. By the way, I got a new pencil, you guys, just to try it, a holder, a lead holder. And I will show you in the next drawing lesson that we do. It's super cool, really pretty. And you shake it instead of clicking it. It came off a little bit. That's good. Oh, they're so cute. I love them. Okay, now, when this dries, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put another layer of transparent color on these, okay? And then when these dry, we'll go around and we'll put, I'll show you, we're gonna use pencil to give it a little bit of depth and dimension, okay? All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so I think we're dry. A little bit. Well, let's work on this, okay? So we're going to use a pencil to put a little bit of detail and depth into this. So we chose the right side to make things a little bit darker, okay? We've got a little bit of watercolor here for shadow. Then I can take my pencil and I can just very lightly create a little bit more shadow with a pencil. I can snug up the lines. It's really a great technique. I can take a little bit of pencil and shade the bottom area too. And you can just lightly smudge it with your finger if you want to, or you don't have to. So same thing here. Very lightly add a little bit of shade. Pencil and watercolor love each other. They really, really do. Now, what I want to do is up here, so think about when you're looking at this, okay? If the light's coming this way, so this side is going to be in the light, and the underneath part here, you could put a little bit of pencil if you wanted to. You see how lightly I'm touching it? The light's coming in this way, so this side, this will be in the light. So over here, this side, when it gets over here, because it's being blocked, so that part's in shadow, and this part's in shadow, right? So just a little bit. And then over here on this part, this edge, very, very lightly, okay? And then same thing here, we got shadow here. A little bit over on this far side. And sometimes just using a little bit of pencil on things like this just brings it to life. Okay, now around these bubbles, we're going to put more watercolor in here too, but I'm going to go around the bottom edge just a little bit. Okay, and that just sets them off. So a little bit around the bottom edge and to the right. A little bit around the bottom edge. To darken that little area right here. See? You don't need too much. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing over here on these. All right, and I might actually just clean that up a little bit because I got away from myself, so I can just clean it up, make it more round. Also here, and actually also there. Okay, and then I want to do the same thing on these, but I just want to make sure that they're not wet when I do it, so I'm just kind of going around that bottom edge like that. Just a little bit. And it's barely perceptible, but the overall picture, it makes a difference. Okay. Just a little bit around that bottom edge. And if you feel like you need to go darker here, you can go darker there too. So there's definitely a shadow cast from the cap to the stem. Okay, now we're going to put another layer of our clear violet. Okay, and make sure it's transparent, okay? And just one more layer of that. And because you left that white area, it should shine through. You just don't want too much wetness on there. If it's nice and transparent, that lighter area should still shine through, and you'll get that nice effect without it being too harsh. There. And I think I'm going to put the same glaze on my stems. So just paint them with that purple glaze, and that will unify them. I don't know what I have on my brush there, but I don't think it's going to come up. Yeah, you have to leave it there and just pick it off when it's dry. Something got on my brush. See how I'm just painting this transparent color over all 3 stems, and it unifies them in a really subtle way. Drop a little bit extra down at the bottoms, and that just gives them some weight and definition. And there you have it. Really fun. Okay, just a little quick project for you. I can't wait to see what you do with them. And then next week, or the week after, I think I'll do a drawing next week. We'll do a little bit more realistic, but in just a fun and free way, and make sort of a cluster pattern of them, of more realistic shapes. Okay? All right, everybody, take care, and I will see you next week.